Hello everybody, it's me again. Sorry if I sound a little bit weird today, I'm just kinda tired. But today we're going to be talking about the Torid, which is one of the best weapons in the game. If you do have the Incarnate, without the Incarnate it's kind of horrendous, I guess. But today I'm going to be explaining why it's so good. I'm going to show you a cheeky little build of mine, which is pretty busted. Anyway, let's get into the video. Okay, so before I get into the build itself, I'm going to be talking about the Incarnate, well, evolutions, I guess they're called. The first one is, the basic switch. It just becomes a laser weapon, which also, how do I say this the best? I guess it just connects the laser to other enemies as well, similar to the Galaxion, or I guess the Boar Incarnate in a way. Although that one doesn't really connect the lasers, right? Anyway, I'll show this anyway. Then Evolution 2, I personally have Final Fusillade, which increases base damage by 51%, and it has +3 multi-shot on the last shot, which means that it's very easy to get the Incarnate form of the last bullet. But there's also Plentiful Mayhem. It increases base damage by 31. Multi-shot consumes ammo directly from capacity and does 60% damage. I mean, plus 60% damage. This is also pretty good. I guess you just go for what you feel like. This is a little bit complicated, so I just use the more simple one. But you will see later that it doesn't really make a difference since this weapon is absolutely busted. Then Evolution 3 is also kind of a freebie. You can just choose whichever one you want. I have Swift Deliverance, which gives more projectile speed, plus 50%. Then Renewed Horror. Reload. When you reload from empty, lingering damage field duration doubles on first shot. So, because how the Torid works is when you hit something or someone with your, ammo, there is like a cloud of gas, of toxin gas, which deals damage, and the, duration is just doubled when you use this. But only on the first shot after you reload from empty, so it's not exactly that useful because you only get used once per magazine. If you reload from empty, of course. And then there's Extended Volley, which increases the magazine size by +9. So personally, I would go for either the first or the third evolution, because the second one is just not really that useful. But it can make getting the Incarnate mode easier. But still, it doesn't really matter since getting Incarnate on this weapon is very easy. So yeah, choose the first or the third one. Then we get to the fourth one. It's very similar on most weapons. The first one is increases base critical chance by 20%. Then Survivor's Edge increases base critical chance by 15%. And increase base status chance by 15%. This is what I have because I have a status and critical build. And there's Elemental Balance, which only increases status chance. So this evolution is actually on a lot of weapons. But, depends on the weapon which one you choose actually. For my build I use this one because, as I said, I use both critical and status on my weapon. But, when you use a purely critical weapon, then obviously this one will be better. Or I guess if you use status, then the Elemental Balance will be better. Okay, so here we have my build, and yes, I know that I don't have my cryo rounds leveled up fully, leave me alone. But yeah, this is the build for the Torid. Now, before I go into it, I must say that having a Riven mod for this gun is basically a need because of how trash this weapon is otherwise. I mean, of course you can make it work without a Riven, but Rivens for this weapon are genuinely just way too overpowered. And they are also hella expensive, because I bought mine for 1000 platinum actually. But I will go over the Riven mod itself later. And the very important thing is the Riven disposition. Actually, it has 4 out of 5 circles, which means that the stats are gonna be stronger. My damage stats on this weapon are, yeah, I'd say it's pretty good. As a very nice 150% critical chance and a 7.4 damage multiplier on critical damage. Then my status is 83%, which isn't bad. I use a blast and corrosive build, which, you know, personally I just like blast and corrosive. And I'm pretty sure that they both are just one of the best status damage types in the game. And the rest about this weapon just isn't very important, but this is also how the incarnate form looks like. Everything is just, you know, buffed more, you know, 200% critical chance, 11.5 critical damage multiplier, as well as a higher status chance and higher damage. The fire rate of my incarnate is on around 3. And yeah, let's go over the mods that I have in my, well, build. Now, before I go on to the mods, I have found out that galvanized aptitude, which, you know, usually you put on every single gun that has status, doesn't work with the incarnate mode. It does work on the normal weapon, on the base one, but since it doesn't work on the incarnate, we're just going to skip this. And the point of the Torid is to get incarnate anyway, so we just really don't care about the base weapon anyway. So first I have galvanized chamber, you know, obviously multi-shot and kill. And you also get 30% multi-shot for 20 seconds when you kill. The 80% multi-shot is base, and it stacks up to 5 times. Then I have vital sense for critical damage, vital acceleration for fire rate, critical delay for more critical chance but slower fire rate. Vital acceleration is cancelled stat, of course. Then I have primed cryo rounds that I use with termite rounds to make a blast status. And I also have high voltage to make corrosive, with both of these mods having plus 60% status chance. I have primary merciless, which I believe is just the best for this weapon. Now, the duration of this effect isn't the greatest, it's only for 4 seconds, but this weapon is well made for just killing as many enemies as quickly as we can, so it doesn't really matter. I'm not exactly sure what other arcanes you could use on this weapon. I don't recommend Deadhead because you're not going to be going for headshots anyways, as this weapon actually activates without headshots. But yeah, just use Merciless and you're gonna be fine. I also have an Exilus mod right here, which is Vigilante Supplies. I mostly use this because it gives a chance to enhance critical hits. But you know, the secondary ammo pickup is not bad. It converts 30% of the ammo that you picked up for secondary weapons to your primary ammo. So, you know, if you get 100 bullets for your secondary, you will get 30 for your main weapon. But, you know, bullets aren't really important on the Torid because your incarnate mode will basically always be active. And well, that's it for my build. I'm just going to showcase it in the simulacrum because, you know, this weapon's pretty good. Okay, so I am in the simulacrum. I'm just going to showcase this weapon real quick. But first thing I want to show you is how easy it is to actually get the incarnate mode. Yeah, that's it. And of course the FPEG that lasts also goes into the incarnate mode, so the ticks will eventually just give you your incarnate. Now first I'm gonna showcase this weapon without any buffs. I am obviously using Wisp because, you know, she's my best frame. I have the best build on her. You can actually check my build out in another video, which I will probably have in the description if I don't forget it. But anyway, so this weapon is obviously an AoE weapon, kind of ish. Now the weapon itself doesn't deal AoE damage, as you'll see, but it connects your laser to other enemies. So if I just do something like this, as you see, every single enemy will actually be affected. And you know, as you see, the weapon did deal some pretty nice damage already. So if I just hold it for a little bit longer, it will start dealing crazy damage. As you see, I mostly have red and orange crits because of my already high status chance. The orange ones are from the normal hits, and I believe, I am not sure, yeah, 200% have chance to become super crits, which is red. Just, you know, over here it's 208%, which should actually always be a red crit. Not sure why it's orange, because, you know, it was incarnate form, but it also might be because of vigilante supplies. But since we already know how overpowered this weapon is, just how it comes, I'm also going to show you how overpowered this weapon is when you use it with some buffs, actually. So I'm going to go into my operator and, you know, use my one, as I have Madurai, which increases the ability strength. I will place my reservoir down. I will also teleport to my reservoir to have the most damage, and I will also use Wisp to activate arcane, whatever the hell. I even forgot the name. This build isn't really difficult to play, but as you see, with Wisp, this weapon is pretty much just one-shotting everything. As you can see, they all just died instantly. They also took more damage because of Breach Surge, Wisp's third ability. It does increase the damage. But let me just spawn these guys in one more time. Honestly, it really doesn't need that much to be good. Now, obviously, this weapon is also good without Wisp. It's good on every character, so that's why this weapon is a must. So if you do have the incarnate of the Torid in your what's it called again? God damn it. In your, you actually forgot the name. Look it up, hold on. Yeah, in the Duviri Paradox in Steel Path. God, I'm stupid. That's my bad. But anyway, this weapon is way too overpowered to exist. Not sure why it's not nerfed, but I mean, there are better weapons than this, obviously. There are weapons that do single fire damage. There are weapons that do good damage on groups of enemies. So, you know, obviously the Torid is also good against single enemies, but it excels in clearing rooms and just groups of enemies. Anyways, that's already it for the video. I'm not sure how long it will be. I try to make it as quickly as possible because, you know, my upload schedule is already going in the ass. The last time I posted was a week ago, which is really embarrassing. So I'm sorry for that, guys. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. And as always, I hope you guys have a nice one.